We have a forum. We have the fire chief that's not here. He's at the FDIC convention out in Indianapolis. But we do have Deputy Chief here, Jason Evans here. We have, as you notice on the agenda there, several topics. We're going to try to cover most of these this evening. But before we start, I'd like to go ahead, if you don't mind, we'll start off with the Pledge of Allegiance, and then Jack, could you conduct the prayer for us?
Sure. Thank you.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Heavenly Father, Lord, thank you for this day and this great weather. We appreciate you allowing us to meet and conduct business and do the best we can for our citizens for this fire territory. In His name we pray. Amen.
Thank you, Joe. Old business, we're going to start off on old business. We're going to start off with Station 55 roof. Andy's got some business to do, so we'll go ahead and start with that.
I've got some information for you on that. He was delayed a little bit, and actually met with him today. We went on the roof, we looked at it, and looked inside. And he called me back this evening. I don't have it in writing yet, but he's going to do it. And what he's proposing is similar to what I talked about, but they've got a process they're getting into now where it's a steel roof, it's an overlay of the current roof. They strap that roof out, but the steel they use, it has a backing on it, like I don't know if felt's the right word, but it has like a membrane on the back of it, so that when you have an airspace between those two roofs, it won't sweat and drip down onto the other roof. But in looking at the way the building was constructed and the spacing of the purlins, you've got that blanket insulation in there. He thinks if you try to rip that old roof completely off, you're going to get into damage that, insulation, and it'll be falling down, and maybe have to re-insulate it. But we strung the tape out on that today, and it won't be a huge area to change the angle on that roof. So they want to strap that roof out, and then he's going to shim that up and with strapping so that it's basically one pitch from the eave to the peak of the building. And a couple other recommendations is, one, we were looking at it because it's been a problem area, and it was for years that I know of. I did some repairs around that. You still have there's two things. There's a plumbing vent that would probably be better if we routed it out the sidewall. And then also the heater in that back part of the addition. If we could move that heater to the north corner, it's currently on the southeast corner of that back bay. If we move that to the northeast corner, just straight north from where it is, and vent it out the sidewall, that's kind of in that real critical point. It's right where that water's damming up on that roof right now, and put it out the sidewall. I know when the other heater got changed, they did route it out the sidewall. Then with that being said, he would re-roof the entire building, the whole back, the whole front, all the eave trim, for $18,500 for the whole building, everything out the door, with that dip taken out of the roof, and basically it'd be a straight shot from the peak to the gutter. And then the other thing he's recommending, because that roof is so lazy, one of the problems you're having with ice dams is that gutter, the way it's installed, the front of that gutter is actually higher than the roof. So that's dammed up. He recommends, because it's such a low slope, to just take that gutter completely off the back of the building, and they will extend that steel out about 5 inches. So that when the water does come off, it'll drop away from the building. And I was looking at that, and I think if you have an issue, there's already drains back there. I mean, you could run a drain tile, a perforated tile along the back of that building if that water became an issue.
We've had some flooding back there in the past.
Yeah.
I wonder if it, like a French drain would be able to put back there.
That's what I'm saying. And you can fill it, you come off the building a couple feet, put a rock in it or something to give you a drain place. But it's just that back section is just so flat. I mean, it's almost flat. I mean, it's not quite, but it's, you know, it's got barely any pitch on it. The drawback to his bid, which is not bad. I mean, I think most of your stuff occurs in the spring, leak-wise. At least it used to. I don't know if that's still the case, but
Well, that in the winter with the ice, the ice issue, yeah.
he's booked so far out that it'll either be, unless he catches up or some other cancellation, it will either be the last week of July or the first week of August.
Okay.
But if you decide to go with it, he's still going to give me something in writing if I can get to you guys.
Yeah, that'd be great. We could put that in the minutes.
I think you might be able to, you know, if you plan for him and his schedule, you might be able to, you know, get someone, a heat guy or something, to come, you know, move that furnace ahead of time and get that rerouted. Because it would just be a lot better if there weren't any penetrations in
If
that
it's in
roof.
July, we could, don't have to worry about where the first.
Yeah, you could
talked just last week, the heater that you're referring to.
the old one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a possibility of totally eliminating that, because that other one puts out more heat.
Oh, does
And
it?
it keeps his base warm, so
Oh, well,
I think theoretically, you could probably totally eliminate that,
Yeah.
that furnace, heater.
that might be even better. But get that out of there. That, and like I said, reroute that plumbing vent. You can take it out the sidewall there on the east end of the building. It's not too far from it. But, and that would be, I mean, the bid won't exceed that.
18,000 is what he's talking.
$18,500.
Ed, what was the previous bids we had on that?
Yeah, you
Like 27,000, 36,000?
27, it was.
And that was just to do the back of the
Back half.
rubber, back half of the rubber.
Right.
There's one for $39,000.
And he's going to, when he writes this up, I told him I'd call him back after I talked to you. When I talked to him earlier today, just for your knowledge, he'll break that, so it'll be, you'll see how much the front half is costing with the back half. But my other recommendation is to do the front half, because the rib style that is on that building now, they no longer make. And it's got a funky ridge cap on that thing that matches the rib of the building. And I think you would be ahead to do the whole roof.
See, that building was built in what, 72?
Something, yeah.
I think they got their money's worth out of it.
Yeah. But he said it wouldn't be an issue, so I'll get that in writing.
You guys want to discuss
Yeah,
this?
let's have a quick discussion on this, is fact that in earnestly, we still have a lot of rain coming in. Can we afford to go ahead and wait till July or August to have that roof repaired? Now, granted, 18,500.
I don't think there's, I mean, you know, I was up there today, and I think as long as you don't have, I mean, there were no evident holes. I mean, basically, what's happened since I made that repair for Joe, which was temporary about 8 years ago, what they've done is come in there with like an elastomeric coating. They basically coated over that whole center section. I mean, you may get a screw hole leak or something like that, but there was nothing up there today. I'm not saying there ain't gonna get a little drip, but there was nothing that looked bad. And I think without the possibility of, you know, having an ice dam, I don't think you're gonna get like a big flooding problem causing leak. I don't know, but I mean, even here in the last week or so, has there been drips and stuff that you know of?
Minimal, if any.
Yeah. I think the biggest part is,
rain too.
yeah, I think the biggest part is those old screws and that bad seam is when you get that standing ponding water, is what it looks like. Because there are some spots that the roof is, you know, bent down a little bit and stuff too up there. So.
That doesn't help.
But,
Well, I know I mentioned this, your thought process of changing that angle on the back in our last township board meeting, and they were very happy with that idea.
yeah.
They thought that would be the best solution, and also Trustee Miller suggested we take that gutter off anyway because it's damaged.
Yeah.
The gutter's damaged. She said we either need a new gutter or take it off.
I think you'd be better off without it on that
Yeah.
back.
If he can extend that out to where the wind won't blow that water coming off back up underneath there to run down that wall.
Yeah, well, he's going to have to do a trim detail. He said they may have to custom bend something, because when put the furring strips on there, it's gonna be a raised thing, so I think what they'll do is take the gutter off, cut the old roof off flush with the building, and they'll probably put an apron that goes down, and then the new roof will go over that, so that's covered. But it is short enough, I forget, I think it's 45 feet on the back, so the other plus of straightening that roof out is you're gonna be able, he'll get 40.
So it'll be one sheet of metal from the peak down to the.
Yep, he'll get 45-foot sheets of steel.
Your thoughts?
And,
Well, I don't know where the township, what their expectation is on the territory paying for the roof or part of the roof or what, but, I'd like to know what they're, expecting us, or, how much they're expecting us to cover that roof. In the interlocal, it doesn't state who pays for what buildings or anything, and I know that the territory hasn't paid anything for Atlanta's buildings, any repairs up there. It's come out of money that's been funded by Atlanta. And I don't know, if our budget situation, I keep hearing that we're running the red and we're gonna be laying people off. I don't personally wanna pay anything towards this roof if it means we're gonna lay members of the fire department off. From the past history I heard of that roof, it's been leaking ever since that addition's been added to the main structure and it never was corrected, so it's kind of a neglected issue that should have been addressed by the township back whenever that addition was built. But on the other hand, being part of the fire territory, if we're going to work on each, the buildings, even though they stay with the entity that owned them. I'm not opposed to paying something, but I'd like to know for a fact that our firefighters or paramedics or anybody else is not going to be laid off due to us taking money out of this budget. To me, they come first. And like I said, this situation, this is a major expense out of our budget. And reviewing the budget that I was asked to do, we did see where there was an additional $20,000 put in there that was not in there in last year's budget, which I assume was anticipated for this. I don't know. I wasn't involved in putting the budget together last year.
Okay, so we have a two-part. Number one, I believe, and I think most of the board members believe, that the $18,500 is a fair price to take care of the problem. So I'd like to have first of all, a motion, provided we get a hard copy of that quote.
yeah, I told him I would talk with you, I'd call him back. I mean, I know he'll do a good job. I mean, he done roof repairs for us. He built whole buildings for the town of Atlanta before.
Who is the guy?
It's Hank Hinkle. It's
Hinkle. Okay,
Construction.
all right. Yeah.
And I mean,
Yeah, I'm happy with
he
it.
lives up in Tipton. I mean, he built a lot of buildings here locally. So
He built a shelter over our drying beds.
Oh, okay.
So I don't think
he did a good job.
if there was a problem, I don't think you have any issue with being the type of roof it is. I doubt when the new roof's on, that'll be the end of the problems actually. So
Let's officially put a motion in and move it here.
Can I say something before we put the motion in?
Absolutely.
We did discuss this in the township board, and we're more than willing to pay a majority of it, I would say. We understand the territory doesn't have that money. That's an unknown expenditure. It is our building. I think all we were looking for was a partnership with the territory that, they make a recommendation, and if they could chip in some, I think that would be a nice gesture. I believe the township probably has the funds to pay for that through our COVID money or something we have. We still have some fire funds left over when we only had our own fire department. So I think with that price, that's going to be somewhat more affordable, especially for the township. And I think it's going to be done right.
well, plus it'll be the whole roof.
Yeah, we're basically getting a whole new roof on the building, because if we ever talked about adding on to that building, that was going to be an issue.
Right.
We wanted to have the right pitch. So please get me that information whenever you get it. I'll bring that to the next township board meeting, and we'll try to get going on this
Let me
as soon
ask
as
you
possible.
this. I mean, based on this, I'll get it in writing. Do you want me to tell him to go ahead and put this
That's what I want to get.
on the schedule, or?
I I would say go ahead and put it on the schedule without us official voting on it.
Right.
That's gonna have to, but I don't wanna hold us up from being on that schedule.
Yeah.
Because I know how his summer's gonna be. I don't know. I don't wanna speak for this board, that as far as the township's concerned, I would think if this board recommends that and agrees with the quote, that the township would probably follow suit also.
That's why I said the first part would be the contingent that we want to use the vendor.
Yeah.
Based on what his abilities are, his past experience. And number two is under the agreement that the township has said that they'll pay the majority of the bill. And then we'll talk about the incidentals after that.
I'll call him in the morning. I'm sure I'll have it before the week's out. I mean, he was figuring everything up today and was talking to his, I think he's waiting on a hard copy from his vendors that he gets the steel and stuff from. But
I was wondering, while we're talking about that budget, I was wondering what we had budgeted for building maintenance for the year. Do you happen to know off the top of your head?
About $21,000 in money. There's two line items in there. One's got 21,000, the other's got 20,000. So there's $41,000 for buildings and maintenance in the two.
Well,
But you got some stuff you wanna do too.
well, the line item in which he's referencing is, $20,000 what we appropriated for, building maintenance. I apologize, I just had it, and,
Clear to the back, I believe.
I gotta be home in about 10 minutes, but
Okay, thank you, Amy.
I just wanted to fill you in that I will get,
Well, tell him to go ahead and go with
Are you guys okay with that?
I'll get it.
we're fine with it.
Either bring you, drop a hard copy off, or email it, or both, or something.
Right here. Building and grounds is 3660.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Andy.
Taylor. You're welcome. Thanks.
There's 20,000 there, and there's 21,000 in building and maintenance. We've got 41 together, and right now with this here is the February ending report.
They've got fleet besides that. Is that,
yeah, that's
is that for fire trucks?
that's for fire trucks,
They-
not building. That's the way Chris put it in there. Originally, I had it broken down more based on her software. That's the way she titled it, so it's misleading, but you only have one for
That's
buildings
where they
and
have
grounds,
fleet.
and that's
2660.
That's for fire trucks, to fix fire trucks.
Yeah. 3670 is for fleet. That's for,
Line
apparatus.
So did,
3660 is for the building.
so is the,
And there's 20,000 that was allocated for that. And we've only spent $826, so.
Right.
but the way, did she word that so that there's any left over that could be taken out of that fleet fund and used for
I
building
think so,
and grounds?
because it's in the 300 section there, we can move it around if we need to
Yeah.
towards the end of the year.
And do you have any idea what you used out of there for fleet maintenance and, vehicle maintenance last year's budget?
No,
It seems like an
if I
awful lot of
remember,
money unless you have some major.
if I remember correctly, we carried a little bit over. We were very frugal on what we spent last year, as we are this year. But again, we've only spent a little over 4% of this year's budget so far out of that line item.
Your vehicle, repairs and parts last year was 2,200, unless you
Says you
took it
spent
over.
2809.79, which is 13.8%. That's up to date.
Yeah.
So, and you just had PMs done on something.
Yeah, on trucks. So unless something catastrophic happens, I mean, the money's there. Kind of as a joke, if we wait till July, maybe a storm will hit us again and insurance will pay for it, but.
It's good enough to have it.
Okay.
All right. Are we okay with that?
We're okay with the fact that this particular vendor, well, that Arcadia's using, and I recollect.
Is that the guy that fixed the roof on the Atlanta station
Yeah.
when the tornado hit it?
The district department and the fire station.
I was really impressed with his work and his timeliness.
Yeah. And he's the one who built that building, if I recall. Is that correct? Originally, or not?
I don't know, he
Can't
didn't
speak
build
for
that.
He built the town building.
Yeah, but he didn't
Or
build the fire
utility garage,
station.
but I don't know that he built the fire
There
station.
was someone else that built the fire
Can't
station.
speak for that one.
Okay.
Okay, next topic of discussion, the chief passed on information to you about things that you need to go and discuss, or do I need to bring them up?
On which question?
Let's start with the chain of command aspect. You can talk a little
Is
bit
that
about
the,
Yes, he
This
sent
thing?
this out. Yes. Pass this around. You guys have one?
I have one. John, you
Yeah,
showed us.
we were asked to put together a chain of command on how things fell in place. This is what the chief put together. He sent it to me, and I agree with him. So that's what we're proposing to the board for your acceptance.
I've reviewed it. I think there was only one question on that that was brought up. It was the trusteeship in that chain of command. John, did you bring that up?
I do it, if you wanna look at it,
Yeah.
right here. You had a question about the providing unit.
Right, you did in there.
Yeah.
And I would say normally, chief, if I may, when you have something off to the side, that doesn't mean they're directly under that chain of command. That's like, under special circumstances, you have to go off, like a Maurice would have to go to the providing unit to give like the quarterly report. Am I saying it right? So
You're right, yeah.
they're not over the chief. They're like off to the side.
If we have money in an area that we need to move, the diversion of funds to relocate.
Yeah.
You're not gonna go to the township and say, we don't have the money in this area, but can we move this amount of money into this?
Which, yeah, it shouldn't be the trustee, it'd be the whole board, I would imagine.
Yeah, because the provider unit is the township board.
Right.
But shouldn't that be down, because if there's any money issues or anything, it's gonna have to be brought up to Maurice. I mean, it's gonna be the chief and the board president or whatever.
I would say it probably should be
So it
closer to the
down
top,
low.
off to the top
I mean,
there.
You tell me where you want it, and I will, I'll take it back to the chief, and
until everybody discusses everything and the chief brings it forward that there's an issue with the budget or something needs to be done. I mean,
well, as far as the way we understand is, obviously, we're gonna put budget, what we think we need, we're gonna take it to you, because you're the president of the board, and then from there, you're gonna take it to your board, and your board's gonna take it to the township for their final.
I'm not talking about putting the budget together, I'm talking about in the middle of the year, say that we're running close to a line item, where we're running close to using up that one certain line item. You need to address, you need funds for the remaining part of the year, whatever, you need to come to talk to him and everything, and then, see what the issues are with it, whether, we can live without it, or if we definitely have to have it, and then we'd have to go to the provider unit to see whether we can move some money from one line item to another line item to cover the needs, is what I'm saying. I mean,
Correct, I guess why, and I apologize, I failed to follow you, is, are you asking, does the chief go directly to them, or does the chief?
no, that's what I'm saying, the chief would need to come to the board.
I agree.
So that's what I'm saying, the provider unit's kind of ahead of the chief and the assistant chief.
Okay.
As far as an issue like that, we would need to know what it is, and we would address the township board or the provider unit, or, our board would, or Maurice was the president of our board.
So all we have to do is, Jeff, if you want to change that to me, and I will take it.
I can, I don't know, where do you suggest we put this?
I would say that right below the deputy chief, so that, since he is the chief's assistant, so if he's not available, the deputy chief.
Here?
Yeah.
You want to move that down to here?
Yeah.
That's fine.
Okay.
And that way, if there's an issue with anything going on in the department, they would come to us.
What he was talking about is
and
maybe
we would,
provide
you. Jason, I'll just have mine.
so we'd be aware.
I've got it, it's
Yeah,
okay.
let me make sure we totally understand, it's not only for budgetary reasons, it's not over for inventorying or all that. The chain of command, this is something we talked about, we're having an issue with communication. And part of that chain of command structure makes it very clear, when there's any kind of communication is made, there is a route that has to be taken. A firefighter can't go directly to the township board president and say, I've got a problem. He's responsible to the captain. The captain's responsible to either the deputy chief or the chief. So we keep that line of communication going, so there's no misunderstanding who's responsible to whom. The thing doesn't go out of whack. That's been one of the problems that we've had in 2 years, is that somehow some people don't know who they're responsible for. So that's a very clear understanding who they go to for communication, for whether it's I need more money, or whether I got a problem with the morale, I've got a problem with getting enough uniforms, enough equipment, that sort of stuff. So it's a hard structure of how we communicate physically and community.
Yeah, I understand it, and I don't disagree. I think the way the chief wrote that was basically putting the board and the elected officials above himself. That way in the chain of command, nobody's being missed.
This chain of command down here in the lower section, is that the way you have it staffed in
The firehouse.
the firehouse? That
Yeah.
these guys down here at the bottom talk to the inspector commanding officer, and then lead medic, and then it goes to you, and then to
No,
chief
not
officer?
not necessarily. Those are just,
Those
for
are
lack
like
of better term,
specialties.
branches.
Yeah.
Those are just off branches within the fire department that would be considered more officer rank, for a better term.
Okay.
But the captains, lieutenants, the volunteers, they can still come to me.
Okay.
And I would always get with the chief.
That's one of the things that we want to make sure Maurice is saying, that the chain of command is followed, so that these guys down here ain't coming up saying something to, Maurice or whatever, and not following the chain of command where you guys are even aware that there's an issue within the department. That's where I'm going with these guys have to
Right.
follow chain of command and talk through you guys, and then if the issue still exists and it's not resolved there, then it comes to
Right.
the board.
Well, I would say this, in a utopian world, being a firefighter for 20 years, you're absolutely right. However, you know how people work,
I
and
know.
a lot of times they will go outside the chain of command or to an elected official. So, from my position within the fire department, I would go back to the firemen. I would make it very clear that they are to follow this chain of command. And if they don't get the answers that they want, or they feel that they're that's not being addressed, then at that time they can go around. But other than that, we will share this with them. But I want to make sure that you want the providing unit.
Is that?
Well, they have to be involved in it, providing it has to be involved with the structure.
He's asking about where do you want to locate
Yeah,
it.
that's
Right,
what I was-
Should that been on the top? I mean, the
would,
deputy chief the chief and the deputy chief should report to I would say the fire territory board, and then if there's an issue, the president of the board would go to the providing unit.
but there is times that Chief White will have to go talk to Chris.
Absolutely.
So
But
if this is down here, then he would have to go down, which would allow one of these guys to go up and talk to the fire providing unit before they talk to the deputy chief.
Okay, so it needs
See, we gotta be careful of that. We don't
I think
want
it's actually, truthfully, I think, in my opinion, it needs to stay the way it is.
I would recommend that.
But I do feel that, depending upon the nature of the issue, I feel very confident that the chief would go to the board president first, notify him before he went to the township.
Well, that's fine with me if that's the way it is, because we want the chain of command where, we're the board that's in charge of the budget and responsible for everything. We need to know what's going on, and if you or the chief or anyone in the department's going to the provider unit and we're unaware of what's going on, and, the lack of communication is gone.
Right. No, I get it.
So if that's off to the side and the chain of command is you guys coming to the president and the fire board and all that, then, the issues go to the
If it
provider
would,
unit. But
if it
as
was,
far as day-to-day stuff that you deal with provider unit, I don't have it, I don't feel that's part of the chain of command.
I would think
That's
most of
part
that would be like on pay and your POs. When you have a PO you need paid, you'd have to give it to the providing unit to
or policy.
stuff like that. That's what I'm
If
thinking.
it would make you feel any better, the providing unit, instead of being off to the side, could be directly under the board president, and then right above the fire chief in the same line instead of off to the side. I understand why the chief did it that way, but either way, I believe that the board would still be notified.
As long as we have a clear understanding.
Yeah.
That's it. Okay, I want to make an administrative announcement at 7 o'clock. I got to divert out here, go next door real quick. They're having a meeting with the zoning, and I've been called on 2 buildings, so I've got to go to that. But I'm going to let John will go ahead and continue on with the meeting since I'm done.
Or did you want to have a recess?
I'm fine for continuing on, so that's what we're going to hold up the whole process.
Okay.
Next thing that I'd like to bring up, and we got emails about the Crown Vic. There's nobody in the county, as I understand, that want to buy that Crown Vic. So our next step, as we discussed, is eBay. And we had asked whether or not the township can open up an eBay account.
I think that's possible, yeah.
So it could be the best route, if I get more money out of that. I see the assessment that Don Hines said they'd give us $2,000 for the car. Now that would be going towards the trade.
That's where you decide to put it.
I'd like to make a recommendation, since we didn't have anybody jump on that. I think we've got more than $2,000 invested in that. I would say on your agenda here, I would like to increase that minimum bid substantially more than 2,000 to like maybe 4,000 or something. What do you guys think?
I don't think you're gonna get it. Not that it's not a good car, it's just an 03 with 123,000 miles. I know we didn't pay a lot for it, granted we put some money into it, I think we put about $1,600 into it for tires, tune-ups and stuff like that.
What do you think about 1,000? Increasing it.
You know,
I'm just trying to recoup some of the money with the territory.
I think basically, I know how they bid on eBay. I think you put $3,000 on there, and it'll go past $3,000.
Okay.
That's a nice, depending on what kind of pictures we take, with streamliners. We could start at, minimum of $3,000. It'd probably go. So we agree that township has no issue with eBay then, or?
No, matter of fact, the old Chiefs car that the township owns, I think we're gonna sell that on eBay. We just haven't created an account yet. Chris is on vacation.
Okay.
So when she gets back, that was one thing we're gonna discuss our next township board meeting.
Okay.
And if the fire territory would like us to list that also for them, that way we can put them under our account, and that's okay with the board.
That's fine, yeah. Part of old business that it's not on there, I think we need to move, is that we need the approval on the minutes from February and also the minutes for April. That should be actually under old business. So if you all had an opportunity to read February minutes and also an opportunity to read April's. You know, April's got 15 pages of that.
Kind of a word-for-word type deal.
Yeah, I think I don't have any issue with the minutes. The February minutes, I can't make a motion on that. I wasn't here. That's going to be between you two. I don't have an issue with either one of the minutes. I will admit, though, the April minutes are a little bit long, detailed. Not that I'd say detail is bad, but a lot of he said, she said, and I don't know, I just don't think it needs to go into that much. It's supposed to be a summary of what we do, not a word-for-word conversation.
Well, I kind of agree with that, but with the situation at hand and some of the things that's been said and whatnot, I felt that, pretty much word for word was a good way of doing it at this time. And when we talked last board meeting, we agreed to have Audra to do the minutes. I asked her to do that just because of the situation that has been in the past, and some of the minutes and things have been left out of the minutes. And the last 3 or 4 meetings, previous meetings, had to have corrections and that type of thing about, I felt there were important things that were left out of the minutes. And that's the reason these are so detailed.
Yeah, I think that based on that fact, we need to discuss, of course, to the township. My question is, I had sent some information that led her to believe that we had an issue with the administrative aspect. Of course, we depended so much on Chris to do a lot of the things, like the agenda and typing the minutes and that sort of stuff. The question we wanted for a fact is, first of all, who's going to type the minutes for us? Who's going to type the, I didn't mind doing it this time, but input comes from everybody with the agenda, the things that were done before we said at the meeting. And how is this going to, the cost on this, is that coming out of the territory funds?
Well, can I interject?
Absolutely, yeah.
I want to make a suggestion. First of all, the Audra is a township employee, and she was delegated to do this by the trustee because she worked in the office and it was during normal business hours. I don't have a problem with her doing it, but I think to streamline this, if we can record this and it works out good, since was nominated to be secretary, I looked at the agreement saying secretary's supposed to be in charge of minutes. My proposal is that I take this recorder, a copy of the agenda, and I give it to her. I'll drop it off, put it in her mailbox after I leave here. She will make a copy of it, send it out to everybody for corrections, additions, whatever. We send her back our thoughts, and then she sends out the final agenda or final minutes. And it wouldn't cost the territory anything extra because she could do it on her normal hours that she's being paid by the township. She asked me today about the agenda. She does not have a problem doing our agenda. It's one of those where I think if she sent out, hey, or Maurice sent out, say, hey, we're putting stuff together for an agenda, or he could talk to Audra and say, here's the stuff I want to put on the agenda. She could send us out a rough draft. Then John and I can put items on we think's necessary. She comes out with an agenda and gets that out beforehand. You're in charge of doing the agenda. I'm in charge of doing the minutes according to the agreement. But the agenda is supposed to be to us in our hands 48 hours prior to the meeting, according to the agreement. So, what do you guys?
First.
Yeah, I know.
But we might as well go ahead and do it right. We might as well go ahead and do it right.
Well, I'm trying to do everything right according to the interlocal agreement. So, what's your guys' thought on that? I'm thinking if we do it that way, it's not going to cost us a dime. And this new speaker system that Audra's got here is very, very delicate. You can really hear voices really well. So don't sneeze.
Okay.
John, your thoughts?
If we're gonna have Audra to type them off of that recorder, I don't have a problem as long as she has a recorder, she hears what we're discussing here. Like I say, I'm not opposed to the township or the territory paying it. I mean, there's a line item there for that type of thing. And no more minutes or meetings that we have, probably less than $1,000 out of that line item. But if the township wants to put the bill, that's fine. The other part of that is the safety board would like to use Audra to do the minutes also. So that was the reason that, last discussion when I brought up about Audra doing the minutes and we need to set an hourly rate if we agreed to have her do minutes and everything, that, we would know what to pay her for the safety board minutes. We had our safety board meeting the other day and, I went ahead, it was just kind of a brief meeting. We went over the rules and regulations was the only thing we wanted, address so that we could get the full-time employee hired that we're looking to hire. So we went ahead and did that, and it was kind of just a little short, brief meeting. So I typed those minutes, but if we get into a longer type meeting or whatnot, I don't want to be the one typing minutes for that.
I don't think that would be an issue to have her do your agenda and your minutes for that, because you guys are going to have a lot of meetings anyway.
No, there shouldn't be many meetings, but right now we're going to have a few trying to get this full-time position filled and that type of thing, and any type of changes or like some of the stuff that's on here about these part-time policies and that type of thing. The chief is.
I think having one person do the minutes and the agenda will kind of standardize it and streamline it to where it looks the same all the time.
And we all have Audra's email address so that on the agenda, we're going to set the meetings in advance. We could all send on her items that we want on the agenda. Sure. She could just add them, and then, like I say, she could send them out 2 or 3 days before the meeting, and then everybody would
Makes sense.
we'd have
Make your job
contact there for the agenda items.
Yeah.
All right, that's
only request that the trustee has that she stays in the loop with this because she doesn't want to overburden Audra with a workload if she's doing stuff for us and she's doing stuff for the trustee, because she has other functions within
Do
the
you want
office
us
also.
to communicate directly to her or to you? Being that you're the representative.
When it comes to the
Yeah,
minutes, why don't I do the minutes and you do the agenda?
Okay.
And I'll talk directly to Audra and you can talk directly to Audra. If that's okay. And Audra, you let us know if that's not okay. John, is that all right with you?
Yeah, I have no problem with that. Like I said, I would like for Audra to do the minutes. Like I said, there was things left out in the past and whatnot. And Audra is not involved in any way, shape, or form with this thing, and
Only issue is if Audra's on vacation, we have a meeting, or she's sick or something like that, that will probably be delegated to the other girl that works in the office there, on a rare occasion. But at least we won't have to keep notes ourselves.
So we can move along and get the agenda moving. We originally discussed the minutes for February and also the minutes for April.
I have read the corrected version of the February minutes, and I make a motion that we accept the minutes with the corrected additions to the February 3rd, 2015.
Okay, we have the first, and I'll have to do the second. And with the approval, it's been approved. Let's go ahead and sign those. And once we sign them, we'll give them to Jeff. Jeff will make sure that the trustee gets it posted and website and all that.
Right.
How about the April 3rd? John, have you had an opportunity to read that novel?
Yeah, I have.
I have a motion.
I make a motion that those to be accepted as typed.
I'll second that motion. I found a couple little typos, but it's nothing major, but I'll accept those also.
Okay. Based on that, approve as stated.
I am gonna ask Audra when she does the next minutes, that if she will put a page number in the corner or something.
Yeah.
There's those
Right.
from February.
Okay.
Oh, this is the February, all right. This is the stack I gotta take back to the office. By the way, I've got, this is all our monthly fire reports and records and budget stuff, and it is up to date as of 2 o'clock this afternoon.
Super.
So if you guys need to look at that, I brought it with us.
Thank you very much for doing that.
I already got the J on there for you.
Thanks.
Is there anything that we didn't talk about old business and we didn't bring it up this time?
I think so.
I have a note here, professional services. Somehow I integrated that to, is it something that Chris had brought up some areas that she wanted on the agenda to discuss. Would that be one of them? Jeff?
Probably, yeah. I think she's was kind of confused with her leaving the board. She wanted to kind of streamline it, and the chain of command thing is part of it. Who she talks to, where you're going to be the person that talks to her on issues and stuff. And I think that's what she was kind of wanting to know. She was kind of waiting in the wings to find out who exactly she's supposed to correspond with. But I think we've pretty much covered that. You and her have discussed things. And so I think that's pretty much covered.
Okay, if not, let's go ahead and go into the new business. The part-time policy for hours worked, Chief White's had several discussions with the attorney, and we've had some dialogue with Chris on that. Is there a consensus how that's going to work for full-time firefighters versus volunteers that are working part-time? Is there a clear policy on that?
Yes, Chief has already put that out.
Okay.
So, I mean, they're gonna work a regular, like what a full-time schedule would be, based under the law. They would just continue to get their no benefits in the current part-time rate.
And that's this General Order 15-2?
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
But I have to apologize, that's not in my packet, but I haven't seen it.
That's fine. If you want to
It was sent out, I assume the
Chief
probably had a copy with me, but we did get an email from the chief on that.
if anybody wants to look at it, I've got a copy here if they need to look at it. Also, I see you have the part-time hours worked acknowledgement form, so when a part-time employee goes to work at Jackson Fire Territory, they have to read this and sign it, telling them that they're not a full-time employee, that they get benefits and all that. I don't know if Chief did this, but that was a suggestion that the township board would have liked to have seen enacted from the department or the territory. It was kind of a cover our rear end in case, that we ever had a legal issue. The guy thinking he's a full-time guy and he's not. We're trying to collect insurance. The Obamacare stipulations got a lot of that sort of stuff in it. But I appreciate this. This looks very good. I reviewed it.
Absolutely, good job on that, yeah.
And I will present both of these, the township board wanted to see these also, so they'll be in my territory report when I have a township board meeting.
Okay. We had asked for a list of vendors from Chris. Do we have that yet? Okay, good,
Yeah,
Got this,
good.
so.
yeah. Here's the vendor list, but then I made a short Word document here that I gave each one of you guys. I went through that, spent about an hour, and that's the entire list showing where we spend every dime we've got. And like Jason, that's pretty current. Well, that's an old one, but the one I've got is current. But this is your general reoccurring stuff. It's out of the 200 and 300 line item series, and you can see these like Duke, Arcadia Utilities. I don't know, I wouldn't pay them. Duke Energy, stuff like that. You can see a lot of these are common things that they get a bill for every month, reoccurring expenditures. And then there's other things that are paid that are very common, maybe not monthly, but are very common, such as Boundtree Medical. Chief, that's EMS supplies, correct? Ruby Hospital, that's narcotics and pharmacy stuff that paramedics have to use. This BIP supply, is that like paper towels, toilet paper stuff?
Yep.
Okay, and they're out of Atlanta, right?
Yes.
Okay. Sullivan Hardware, BNC Engine. There's maybe a couple more that you'll see every couple months. You guys want to discuss that? Because Chris is looking for guidance from us. Does she need permission from us to pay these bills? Or
I
do we
think
want to create a
I think the
list?
things we talked about on the utility bills had some operational thing, electricity, fuel, you know,
And that's all of this.
like heat and all that stuff is a recurring bill that most people have when they even have a house.
Right.
Those things, I don't think there's an issue with that. The issue would be if we're asking for professional services,
Right.
whether it's an attorney, whether it's an accountant, and those sort of things that we may or may not know. Those are the things, if it involves the territory, and we need to have information. John, you want to add on to that?
Yeah, the things that I'd like to see the invoices before they're paid. I don't have a problem with all these right here that are normal monthly expenditures. But things like this where you're buying supplies and spending money at the hardware store and Lowe's or whatever for building and whatnot, I'd like to see those and approve those before those are spent, to see what the project was for or why they're buying these, and if there's any questions, the chief and them could explain what that purchase was for.
I think
Like
there's
it's necessary.
Your Sullivan Hardware, a lot of it's nickel and dime stuff you're buying. I looked at some of the expenditures, and it's $3 here, $5 there. They're getting bolts and nuts and light bulbs, and it's little stuff. I would imagine if there's a huge expense going up to $400 or $500, we might question that.
You guys currently use a claim system?
POs.
Like I know when we said,
Yeah.
Yeah.
you know, we meet twice a month, Atlanta Town Council, we have claims that we look at.
Right.
And where we sign the claims, so we know what those expenditures are specifically for. And that's very helpful. I mean, you know, you can look over that claim form and just see, you know, X, Y, Z, and, you know, it just...
Do we want to set up a claim form system, or do we want to go into just use the current PO system?
Where, for example, the council here in Arcadia used to review all the invoices all the time, everything.
Her software should print a claim.
What?
Their software should be able to print a claim.
Yeah, what we do now is that, when Jennifer came on board, Betty didn't like automation, but we've automated that, and it lists all the monies and to whom the payments were made to on the form clearly. We just look at that, and just a list of items, you know, color TV, you know, 55-inch for the president's office and that kind of stuff.
We pretty much get that from Chris now.
Except it's in that booklet.
It's in this booklet.
It doesn't say what for.
What I'd like to see
Well,
is
I don't know, there's a lot of
claims.
description and notes out here, like BNC Engine Service, they've got grease and lights for the station. They spent $28.71. That's wireless. FDIC, now that's something different, that's for Steve, but
Typically, Mr. Frawley, on the way we've currently done the PO system is anything over $300, I do a PO for.
Okay.
Now, I know that $1,500 required, anything over $1,500 would require board approval. But again, anything over 300, I always do a PO because besides Chris tracking it, there's 2 jump drives that the chief and I. Any PO we do, it's on those jump drives. That way, that if it doesn't get paid, somebody can't come back and say, "Well, I didn't get it." Well, I can say, the day that I do the PO is the same day I turn it in. So it covers me.
Sure.
We've also added in there, because in between meetings, that if there's something goes over a certain amount of money is within our budget, you know, instead of having a meeting, you all give me the authority to go ahead and approve that.
Not over the budget.
Not over the budget, I'm talking within our
Over the
budget.
allowable amount.
Within our budget, for example, $1,500 is the
$1,500.
maximum,
Yeah.
and it costs $1,800. You know, that's an example. It gets noted for record, but then it shows up on the report.
I would request though that if we have something we know they're gonna spend money on, that they try to bring it to us the meeting before they order it, like the FDIC stuff. I understand what that expenditure was for, but we could have had a PO brought to us beforehand saying, this is what we wanna do and how much we wanna spend.
Well, I got that last
I know.
minute.
But from now on, you know, or if they're gonna buy bunker gear or something like that, that they know it's gonna be a pretty big expense. That way we can kinda look at the line items and see how much we've got left before they even order it.
That's why I'd like to see those and approve them before the purchase, you know, I mean, so we know, like I said, everybody does that, and that keeps everybody on board and know what's being spent, how much has been spent, and, you know, just the monthly expenses like the utilities and stuff, you know, that's a given, but all this other stuff, I mean, it changes, the expenditures are varied, I mean, the costs of different purchases and that type of thing. And if they're bought before us, before they're paid for, and major purchases that are necessary are brought before they're even ordered, we are aware of what's going on. And the issue with that, the reason for that, my feeling about this is in the past, there's been a lot of things that were purchased without any knowledge of the board, and there was a lot of things that were spent out of the budget that the board was unaware of. And this here would definitely keep us in the loop, and we would know what's being bought and spent and where we're at with the budget. If we had the invoices, we approved the invoices before they're paid, and we approved all the purchases.
Do you wanna do that for all dollar amounts, or do you think just over 1,500?
I'd like to do it for all dollar amounts and just exclude these to where we approve these to go ahead, these top ones here.
Riverview
Hospital
Hospital.
up, those are normal everyday
Right.
monthly expenditures, and go ahead and approve paying those, and then the rest of them, we see the invoices and claims. And a monthly statement like we were getting here, year end.
I mean, we want to develop a system that's gonna be,
We wanna
so
make it easy
difficult
on us,
to work
but yeah.
with, yeah.
Right.
So everything from that line up is gonna be like pre-approved to pay,
Right,
and then this goes to, board.
right.
And any other type, you know, any of the other vendors,
Sure.
Lowe's, Mars, whatever they buy.
I just put the common stuff I saw a lot, reoccurring a lot.
Yeah, but those there, I mean, those are normal, I mean, that's, you know, I mean, that's a given there, those gotta be paid, when it's coming in every
Let
month.
me ask you a question. I know that we need a printer for the office, because we just moved offices. If I follow you right, we need to pick out what we want. We need to get a quote, do the PO, turn it into you for approval, and then we can buy it. The reason, if that's true, we just drug this out 2 weeks, 3 weeks, that now we can't.
Well, I guess, first of all, in this new system that we're working with, the trustee's office pays the bills, as long as it's within our budget and it's not overextended. And you're absolutely correct, if we wait to the board meetings, then that's gonna go to PO, to Chris, she puts it on the form, it's gotta be looked at, it's gonna be consolidated, and it comes back to us. Somehow, if we can do that PO through us, have a through line, maybe going through we can stop by and look at them.
I think what I was talking about was large expenditures that they know 3 months in advance they're gonna buy something. you know, they're planning on through the budget, they're gonna buy this item and it's $1,500, $2,000. And then say, hey, get us the quotes and the PO and bring it to the board. Hey guys, if you wanna buy this, because it's a big expenditure, but printers like that, he ought to just be able to, I'm over, we talking $100, $150, or a printer or whatever, couple $100, whatever. Bring it to the board and say, hey, I bought this printer because we moved offices and we needed this.
Sign off on it.
Yeah, are you okay with that?
Yeah.
Because I don't want to hold them up, but yet if it's a large expense, I think we ought to know about it beforehand.
And that's kind of the way, you know, my job here is the way it is. I don't have a cap on like Chief does, 1,500, due to the type of pumps and equipment I got to repair and replace. But any type of time there is, just out of courtesy to the council and the board and Betty in the office, I always come to them and let them know that I've got this major expense coming up and being prepared, and I explain to them, and you know.
Well, it gives them a heads up to where we're going to take the money out of the budget.
Yeah.
They may have to move money at the next meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
We got about 4 minutes here for you.
Yeah, I got 4 minutes here. We want to discuss this, not in great detail, but let's talk about for 2016, are we now looking for or getting recommendations for a new attorney starting for 2016 instead of paying the rates we're paying now? And we wanted to have that attorney readily available close by, not 200 miles down the road and paying $60 for a 15-minute conversation. Something like Jeanette Castlebaum, for example.
Yeah, I don't, the problem is most attorneys don't know anything about territories and they don't want to know anything about territories. I know there's a guy in Indianapolis by the name of Steve Bushman. I think he has his own practice, and he does a lot of township government law, and he also has done some fire territory stuff. I'm sorry, I don't have his phone number. I met him once at a township training thing. Chris and I had talked at one time that if Logston couldn't do this anymore, that's the guy we ought to go to, because Logston actually recommended him. He said he knows as much about it as I do. Locally, I don't know of any. We may be able to get an attorney that can do our general function stuff as long as we don't get them in too far into the weeds on, you know, working with the township and the territory together, because they won't understand that.
And plus our major expenses with an attorney, we're paying his travel time, we're paying the time on the phone, we're paying the time for this, time for that. If there's anything complicated, and Watson's becoming more and more busy as he is
He has a
involved in
full-time
government.
other job, yeah.
Well, I'd like to look around for another attorney, and like I stated in the last meeting, I'd like to try to find somebody local that could attend our meetings, so if there's legal questions or whatever, they would, could be here at the meetings. And I don't know whether we could get them on some kind of retainer set price, so, that's what we do it, for the municipalities, Atlanta and Arcadia, attorneys, set rate, per year. And
You guys know of any local government law attorneys other than Jeanette Castlebaum or the Culps?
that's something we just probably need to shop around on, because really we want to use, John says he can't do it anyway because it's conflict with him from being an attorney. He couldn't be, for Atlanta and Arcadia, he couldn't be attorney for the territory in case there's a conflict there. So, I think we just need to research that and see if we can find somebody in a local law firm that would be available and, within our price range.
I could ask Jeanette too, she may know somebody, but there's not very many attorneys that do this sort of stuff unless you want to hire Ron Howard or Howard out of Noblesville.
Can we take, you want to take those?
How long do you think it'd be?
I think they're starting here in a few minutes. I don't think it'll be that long.
Okay, I don't care. I don't know if we can legally continue the meeting without you here.
No, we can't continue.
How about we go into a
Take a recess?
20-minute recess at the most?
Okay, that's fine. I'll stop the recorder.
And we'll start back up at 20 after 7.
Okay.
I need to try that.